Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We start out this month with an episode of Confession, as it was originally broadcast 69 years ago today, August 2nd, 1953, the confession of one Esther Phillips. And we thank you for joining us on this Tuesday, 2nd day of August, 214th day of the year, 151 days remaining. Happy birthday to Butch Patrick. Do you know who Butch Patrick is? If you've forgotten, I'll tell you. Wild Bill Hickok murdered in Deadwood, South Dakota on this date in 1876. The first Lincoln penny issued in 1909 on this date. Warren Harding, 29th President of the U.S., died in San Francisco in 1923. PT-109, a torpedo boat commanded by Lieutenant John F. Kennedy, sunk off the Solomon Islands by a Japanese destroyer in 1943. Following Kennedy's election in 1960, the story became the basis of a hit song by Jimmy Dean in 1962. It peaked at number 3 on the country charts, stayed on the charts for 13 weeks. It also was number 8 on the pop charts, number 2 on the hot adult contemporary charts. The Potsdam Conference, in which Allied leaders planned the post-war governance of Germany, ended in 1945. In 1964, the U.S. destroyer Maddox exchanged shots with a North Vietnamese torpedo boat, boats, plural, in the Gulf of Tonkin, which led President Johnson to take action.
As President and Commander-in-Chief, it is my duty to the American people to report that renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
As a result, President Johnson ordered retaliatory airstrikes. By late 1965, some 180,000 American troops were on the ground, with more on the way. In 1976, people who attended the American Legion Convention in Philadelphia began dying of what appeared to be heart attacks.
Nobody has any idea yet what it really is. All we know is that they all have one thing in common. They were all at the State American Legion Convention in Philadelphia.
130 hospitalized, 25 died in what would become the first known outbreak of Legionnaire's disease. In 1990, on this date, the Persian Gulf War broke out when Iraq invaded Kuwait.
The United States strongly condemns the Iraqi military invasion of Kuwait. And we call for the immediate and unconditional withdrawal of all the Iraqi forces. There is no place for this sort of naked aggression in today's world. And we view this situation with the utmost gravity. We remain committed to take whatever steps are necessary to defend our long-standing vital interests in the Gulf.
President George Herbert Walker Bush, in response to an appeal by Washington's Kuwait ambassador Sheikh Saud Nasir al-Sabah on the day of the invasion.
We have appealed to all our friends around the world, including the United States, to come to our aid.
Operation Desert Shield began on August 9th of 1990. UN forces entered Kuwait on January 16th. Republicans nominated Texas Governor George W. Bush for president and Dick Cheney for vice president of the party's 2000 convention in Philadelphia. Mattel recalled nearly 1 million Chinese-made toys from its Fisher-Price division in 2007 that were found to have excessive amounts of lead. Passing away on this date in history, in addition to others we mentioned earlier, Pope John V, also educationist, abolitionist Horace Mann, Go West Young Man, tenor Enrico Caruso, Alexander Graham Bell, film director Fritz Lang, politician Roy Cohn, puppeteer Sherry Lewis, and Ron Townsend of The Fifth Dimension. This is the birthday of actress Myrna Loy, Archie Bunker, and from In the Heat of the Night, Carol O'Connor, born on this date, actor Peter O'Toole, country music singer-songwriter Hank Cochran, film director Wes Craven, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, you remember those, the Shirelles, Doris Coley, and singer-songwriter Andrew Gold, who was originally Thank You for Being a Friend. Happy birthday number 72 to Judge Lance Ito. You remember him from the O.J. Simpson case. We mentioned Butch Patrick earlier. You remember Butch Patrick, right? You probably remember him as Eddie Munster. He's 69 years old today. Eddie Munster on the 1964-66 TV series. Purple Rain, Apollonia Cotero. You remember her working with Prince in that movie, 63 years old. From Saturday Night Live, the very funny conservative comedian Victoria Jackson. From, Mary Louise Parker, 58 today. From Clerks and Jay and Silent Bob, Kevin Smith, 52. Chloe Lane on Days of Our Lives, Nadia Bjorlin, 42. And Hallie Kate Eisenberg, 30 years old today. Those used to be the people celebrating the second day of August as their birthday. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you.
The Four Freshmen back on loan after we loaned them to Jeff Stein at KXEL for that radio station's 80th birthday. 69 years ago, August 2nd, 1953, Confession, and the Confession of Esther Phillips. I'm Wyatt Cox. Thanks for listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the NBC Radio Network Summer Series, Confession. This episode, from 69 years ago, August 2nd, 1953, the story of Esther Phillips.
The confession you are about to hear is an actual tape recording.
Go ahead, please.
I make this confession of my own free will because it is true. There has not been any force or violence used upon my person to induce me to make these statements. Without promise of immunity or reward or gratuity, I confess.
You understand that your statement will be made public through the radio program Confession.
I do.
That your name, for the purpose of this broadcast, will be Esther Phillips.
Yes, I understand. I want to tell the whole story.
Lean forward a little more, please. Esther, talk right into the microphone.
Yes. I want to tell it all. The whole story.
You are listening to Confession. The case history of the woman referred to as Esther Phillips is a matter of documented record. You'll hear the story of her crime experience as told in her own words.
All right. Would you go ahead, please?
Yes. Well, I guess it was a funny thing. I mean, the way we met. You see, Johnny was wanted by the police when I met him. Well, I didn't know it then. But after I found out, it was too late. Because by that time, I was in love with him.
You mean John Tyler?
Yes, Johnny Tyler, that's right.
And?
Well, I wouldn't have left my husband on my own. I guess I would have thought it wasn't respectable. Even though he was so dull and, well, boring. But, when I met Johnny, he was so different. He was exciting, kind of, and I guess the decision was made for me. It was like I had nothing to do with it at all, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly how did you meet him?
At the races. I used to go to the races quite a bit in Chicago, Washington Park, Arlington. I used to lose a lot of money there. Well, what I mean is, I couldn't stand to just sit home and just sit there all day long, not doing anything. It just got boring for me.
Did
Did your husband know you went to the races?
Oh, I guess he knew. I don't know. He never said anything.
What about the money you lost?
I told him I spent it. He never used to ask any more questions if I sounded mad enough.
You met Johnny at the races?
That's right. It was the last race at Arlington. I was tearing up my ticket. You know, the ticket you get when you bet. You know, there's one. I didn't even notice him standing there beside me at the rail.
Great luck, huh? That's $100 I dropped. I see you got taken, too.
Me?
Mm-hmm. How much did you lose?
$5.
Oh, that's not so bad. $100. Talk about the breaks, huh?
Uh-huh.
Say, I hope you don't mind me saying this.
What?
Well, I've been kind of watching you all afternoon. I mean, you know, because you seem so interesting. I'm the kind of person to get to know.
Look.
I guess I'm saying all the wrong things, but what I mean to say is that all afternoon I wanted to meet you. That's what I mean.
I gotta get home.
Oh, now, wait a second.
Yeah?
Look, you got off the bus at the corner over there around 1 o'clock. You were all alone.
Yes?
Well, I saw you, and the minute I saw you, I made up my mind I was going to get to know you. So I planted myself here, and I bet on the same horse as you did, and... kind of corny, huh?
Well...
Look, do you have to take the bus back?
Uh-huh.
Can I give you a lift?
No, I guess not.
Oh, come on, I'm harmless. I'll drop you right off at your door. You don't even ever have to see me again if you don't want to.
I don't think I'd better.
I insist. Come on.
We got through the crowd to the parking lot. He had a convertible. It was a nice day, and he put the top down. He didn't say anything for a while. When we pulled up at a stoplight, he looked down at my hand.
Nice wedding ring.
Thanks.
Any children?
Nope.
Uh-huh. Say, you happen to have the time?
It's 5 o'clock.
Thanks. You know a good place I can get some food? I haven't had lunch yet.
Well, there are lots of places in the Loop.
Well, just a sandwich. I eat dinner late.
Well, there are lots of good places.
Hey, that's a nice-looking place, huh? Clean-looking. You in a big hurry?
Me?
Yeah, I thought you might join me in a cup of coffee or something to get home on.
Oh, gee, I don't know. I've got to get back. Start cooking dinner.
Oh, it'll just take a few minutes. Don't worry. I'll get you home on time.
He got out of the car and came around and opened the door for me. I looked at him for the first time, really. He was good-looking. Real good-looking. Dressed nice, and he didn't talk like he was fresh or anything. Just as if we were good friends. I don't know. It's hard now when I think back to know what happened, really. Maybe it was the way he treated me. Like I was somebody important to him, not just like a cook and dishwasher. For instance, he opened the car door for me. He opened the door of the restaurant for me, and when we sat down, he helped me with my chair. He ordered coffee for me and some orange juice and ham and eggs for himself. He asked me some more questions. Questions about myself. Not nosy-like, just interested. And I started to talk. And once I started, I couldn't stop. I guess I must have needed somebody to talk to awful bad, because I told him everything I hated about the 7 years I'd been married.
7 years.
7 years, that's right. 7 years.
You know something?
What?
You know what I thought when I saw you standing there at the races?
What?
I thought you were a dancer.
A dancer?
That's right. Some kind of a dancer. The way you were standing there, I don't know.
Oh.
Did you ever do any dancing?
Oh, when I was a kid in school, we used to have little plays. I did some dancing in school.
I knew it. You mind if I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why have you stuck it out so long?
With my husband?
Mm-hmm. With that kind of life.
Well, I left him twice.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Twice. Once we went up to Wisconsin. I said I wasn't going back with him.
But you did.
Yeah, I was lonely. He just looked up at me and said, "Don't be silly," he said. "Of course you're coming back." And I did.
And the other time?
Well, the other time I went to an uncle's of mine in Duluth. But he has a big family, so I came back. When I walked into the house, George looked at me like he knew I'd be back all the time. He didn't say anything. He just helped me unpack. Someday, I'm telling you, he's going to get the surprise of his life. I'm going to go, and I'm never coming back. Never. I feel silly.
Why?
Oh, telling you all these things.
I know. Look, maybe it would help if I formally introduced myself.
Maybe.
Johnny Tyler's the name. Who are you?
Esther Phillips. Huh. That's funny.
Why?
Esther Phillips, I said.
Well, isn't that your name?
No, Esther Phillips isn't my name. Not now. That was my name before I got married.
Oh, what do you say we just keep it like that? Miss Phillips.
Before he dropped me downtown, he left me his phone number. He said to call. I did my shopping and came home. And the minute I walked into the door, I knew I couldn't stay. It was like I wasn't home at all. It was like a prison. And what right did George have keeping me in a prison? I had a right to be happy, just the same as anybody else had. I ran to the bedroom and packed up some of my clothes. I wrote George a little note saying that I was going, and this time I wasn't coming back. I didn't call Johnny, not right away. For about 2 hours, I wandered around. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't know where to go or what to do. And then I remembered Johnny's telephone number, so I called him. I thought maybe if you weren't busy tonight.
Tonight? Well, tonight's kind of tied up.
Oh. Well, never mind.
No. Wait a minute now. Don't be silly. I don't mean it that way. I mean busy, like in work. Look, I'll be finished about 10 o'clock. Is that too late for you?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, good. Make it 10. You have my address?
Just a phone number.
Well, it's the Blockworth Hotel on the near north side. It's on Huron. 10 o'clock, huh?
10 o'clock. It was 7. I sat in the bar until 9:30. I felt like I shouldn't have called him, but I had to. There was nobody else to call. And the more I waited, the more I wanted to see him. I wondered all about him, what he did. I thought maybe he was a broker or some kind of a businessman. I took a bus to the hotel. At 10:15, I knocked at his door.
Well, hello again. Come on in.
Thanks.
Sit down. Let me fix your drink.
No, thanks.
What's the trouble?
I left him. I couldn't take it anymore. Honest, I just couldn't take it.
Oh. A drink will fix you up. I'll be right back. Just relax. That's the idea, huh?
I felt warm and good, like I hadn't felt for a long time. And I knew it right then. I had to be with Johnny. I had to. I looked in my purse for a cigarette. There was a lot of cigarettes. I looked on the table. No cigarettes. I opened the coffee table drawer. I thought there might be cigarettes in there. But there weren't any cigarettes in the drawer. There was something else. A gun.
Here you are. This ought to fix... What are you looking for?
Cigarettes, that's all.
Yeah? You should have asked me. I have cigarettes. Here.
Thanks. You keep it for protection?
That's right. I need it in my business. What's the matter? You don't look so
Well, it
good.
just scared me, that's all. It just scared me. First time I ever saw a gun up that close.
Forget it. Come here.
Johnny.
You're beautiful. Anybody ever tell you that?
Long time ago.
Well, I'm telling you now. Look, this is my last night in town. We'll really live it up. What do you say?
Last night in town?
Yeah, I gotta keep traveling. That's how I make my living, traveling around. Why don't you come with me?
What?
Well, you're not going back there, are you?
I wouldn't go back there for $1 million.
Well?
Johnny.
What?
You're in some kind of trouble, aren't you?
You want to come or don't you?
Yes, Johnny, I do want to come. I really want to. Very much.
August 2nd, 1953, the NBC Summer Series Confession here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. We'll have the news from 69 years ago today and the conclusion of Confession. But first, these important words.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to Medishare for their health care, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And Medishare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. Medishare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
And you're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. This hour, an episode of the NBC Summer Series Confession, as it was broadcast on Sunday, August 2nd, 1953, in the newspapers of that Sunday, 69 years ago. These were some of the headlines. President Eisenhower has approved a plan to rebuild war-wrecked South Korea into a show window of the free world by using American troops in the work of rehabilitation. John Hightower, reporting for Associated Press, said this was disclosed by Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, who described the program to diplomats representing 15 other nations while fighting forces in Korea. He urged them to consider using their forces in the same way. The U.S. sharply rebuffing a Soviet protest that American fighters shot down a big Russian transport plane, yesterday blamed Russia itself for sending the craft into the Korean zone of hostilities. Moscow, in a note Friday, said 4 American fighter planes made a piratical attack on the transport over Chinese territory north of the Korean border last Monday, about 10 hours before the Korean armistice took effect. The Soviet note said all 15 passengers and 6 crew members perished, declaring the IL-12 plane en route from Port Arthur to the USSR. It demanded punishment of the guilty persons and reserved the right to demand compensation. Red Cross teams prepared today to cross communist lines for the first time and greet the first groups of Allied war prisoners moving toward Panmunjom for the long-awaited prisoner exchange coming up on Wednesday. The Peiping radio said that the first batch of non-Korean prisoners had left the communist camp at Pyeongtaek on the North Korean-Manchurian border. These POWs, many of them American and included sick and wounded, perhaps will be the first group of Allied prisoners to be met by the United Nations Red Cross team. Senator Robert A. Taft will be honored with a state funeral in the nation's capital at noon tomorrow. It will be a service such as might be accorded a president, the office for which the 63-year-old Ohioan strove so hard. President Eisenhower, who beat him for the Republican nomination last year and then won his friendship and support, will be there. So will Vice President Nixon, members of Congress, the Cabinet, the Chief Justice of the U.S., and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the ambassadors and ministers of the diplomatic corps. The Soviet Zone Railway Ministry last night banned the sale of train tickets to East Germans seeking free food relief in West Berlin. In the communists' greatest blow against the American-financed food program, the Railway Ministry outlawed sale of single-trip tickets and Sunday round-trip tickets between all Soviet Zone stations and Berlin. The ban clamped after some 200,000 East Germans, mostly riding trains, swarmed into West Berlin yesterday from five Soviet-occupied provinces. President Eisenhower recommended to Congress last night a plan to add about 10.5 million persons to the Social Security rolls for the first time. New groups to be brought into the old age and survivors insurance system would include self-employed families, farm and domestic workers not now covered, and professional people like doctors, dentists, lawyers, architects, and accountants. The Senate Finance Committee last night killed for this session President Eisenhower's plea for a $15 billion boost in the national debt limit. The bill already ran through the House, tabled in the Senate committee by a vote which Chairman Milliken, the Republican of Colorado, described as substantial. And a man's got to protect his interests. That's what a farmer near Goldsboro, North Carolina did when a small plane buzzed his tobacco patch for the second time, causing his mules to run away. Well, the unidentified farmer consulted the sheriff first, and when the plane returned, he picked up a shotgun, blasted away with both barrels at it. Farmer retrieved his mules, resumed work, and he hadn't been bothered since. And Lena Alton telephoned Durham, North Carolina police that she'd sent some clothes to the dry cleaners. They hadn't been returned, and frankly, she was worried. Police investigated, and when they asked, did the cleaners route man pick up your clothes? Yeah, about a year ago. Though some of the day's top news stories, as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, August 2nd, 1953, on your radio confession. The conclusion you'll hear next on this Sunday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. On Wednesday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, another great episode of the CBS Radio Workshop, an adaptation of the short story about a homeless man in New York City who is definitely not a bum. Subways Are for Sleeping, from 66 years ago, August 3rd, 1956. That's on Wednesday's Classic Radio Theater. But now the conclusion of Confession, the story of Esther Phillips, from 69 years ago today, August 2nd, 1953.
Before continuing with the documented record of the woman referred to as Esther Phillips, the National Broadcasting Company is honored to present Mr. Richard A. McGee, Director of Corrections, Department of Corrections, State of California. Mr. McGee.
In our modern thinking, personal happiness has become a confused issue. Countless crimes are committed by foolish persons who believe that their rash acts will ultimately lead them to happiness. But I have seen too many thousands of men and women in our prisons unhappily regretting the stupid and thoughtless mistakes that placed them there. Their search for happiness was too often merely a reflection of vanity, greed, lust, and infantile frustration. The majority of these men and women in our penal institutions will assure you that no happiness of the moment can possibly last unless you achieve it with dignity, with respect for yourself as an individual, and without harm to others.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Now to continue with Confession and the documented record of the woman referred to as Esther Phillips.
All right. You can continue now, Esther.
Well, we left Chicago that night.
You mean you and Johnny?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time in I don't know how long, I felt free. Funny thing was, I didn't feel ashamed of what I did. I didn't feel at all ashamed. I didn't care about anything but just being happy. Just so I had a little fun out of life. We drove a long time. Johnny didn't say anything. Finally, he lit a cigarette and started to tell me all about himself.
I've been in prison since I was a kid.
I don't want to know anything about you.
I want you to know. Otherwise, it's no good. I've been in prisons all over the country. I was on parole. I jumped it. I'm on the run. Well?
Well, what?
You want me to take you home?
No.
Scared of me?
Oh, I could never be scared of you. No matter what you did.
You're quite a girl.
Where are we going?
St. Louis, Oklahoma City, Los Angeles, all points west.
Oh, I've never been west.
You got any idea how much money I've got?
I told you I didn't care.
I know you don't care, but I care. I got exactly $5 in change.
I got some money.
How much?
About $5.
Oh, you're wonderful, you know that? Look, honey, I gotta have money, not small change. Money. $500-600.
Why all that money?
'Cause I need it, that's why. Hey, how far to St. Louis? There's a sign.
Oh, gee, I couldn't see it very well.
Oh, it can't be far. All right, we'll get into a town, get a place to stay, and I'll pick up some money.
Now, don't get in any more trouble, Johnny, please, though.
Now, what is this, a lecture tour?
I just don't want to see you get in any more trouble.
You let me worry about that, huh? You know, you're very pretty company. Very pretty.
And that's how it began. We drifted across the country. I don't know how many robberies. I lost track. I would wait outside, and he'd go in, get the money, and then when he slammed the door and said, "Let's go," I'd start off. I got to be pretty good at spotting a police car a long ways off. I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. I did it for Johnny. Because if I didn't, he wouldn't let me be with him anymore. We stayed in Las Vegas long enough for me to get a divorce, and then Johnny and I got married. And then we went to California, San Bernardino. A store along the main street. We parked down about a block and walked back. It was a liquor store. Johnny got an idea of the place, and we went back to the car. I drove up and parked in front of the liquor store, and Johnny went in. I saw him cover the gun with one hand and pointed at the old man behind the counter. I saw the old man get mad. Then a shot. I felt sick. The old man fell over on the counter. Johnny came running out. It was white.
Get out of here.
Johnny,
shut up, just drive.
You killed someone.
Maybe, maybe not. I think I just winged him. There's a police car. Slow down. All we need is to get picked up. He's turning off. Okay, let her go.
Why don't we...
Why don't we what?
Well, you turned yourself in, maybe.
Turn myself in? What are you, crazy?
Sick, Johnny. I'm sick.
Well, be sick, but keep quiet. You're enough to drive a guy wacky.
Well, what are we going to do?
We got to get rid of the car. That's the first thing. Anyone spotted us to be looking for this car all over California. I tell you what, we'll get rid of it along the road. We'll hitch to the next town. Now what's the matter with you?
I told you I'm sick.
Oh, I must have been crazy to bring you along. Crazy. All right. Take it easy. There's a place. Pull over.
They'll find the car.
Will you quit arguing with me? Pull over.
What do we do now?
Get rid of fingerprints.
We walked to the next town where we got a bus to Los Angeles. We stayed in Los Angeles a couple of weeks in a terrible place downtown. One day I came home, I opened the door and went in. Right away, I knew something was wrong. Johnny? Johnny, you home? Johnny?
Mrs. Tyler?
Oh.
Don't be frightened, Mrs. Tyler. We're from the police department. Put your purse on the table. Now, where is he?
Where's who?
Let's not play games. Where is he?
Johnny? Well, I don't know. Why should I know? I just came home. What are you waiting for?
Assorted crimes. You want to tell us about what happened in San Bernardino?
San Bernardino? You must have the wrong party.
Court lived. Identified him. What's your name?
Esther Tyler.
What was your single name?
Esther Tyler's my name.
You ever been in trouble?
No, I never was in trouble my whole life.
Mm-hmm. Now, assuming you haven't been in trouble before, Mrs.
I
Tyler.
haven't.
Well, you'll get off with a pretty light sentence if you tell us about him. We know most of it anyhow.
Johnny, stay away, Johnny!
Tyler.
Run, Johnny, run!
Get after him!
Run, Johnny, run!
That's not going to do your case any good, Mrs. Tyler. You've got pretty sharp ears. I did hear that front door open.
You won't get him.
I think we will. Come on, Miss Tyler. Let's go.
They locked me up. I'd never been locked up before, but I didn't care. The only thing I thought about was Johnny. They got him the next day. I was sentenced from 1 to 5 years. They sentenced Johnny 5 to life. I served 2 years and I got out on parole. Because I was his wife, the warden and my parole officer gave me special permission to visit Johnny. I rented a little place near the prison and I went to work as a waitress. One day I came to visit Johnny and he seemed to be real nervous.
I'm getting out of here. You gotta help.
Oh, don't do it, Johnny. Please, it's crazy. They'll kill you.
You win this or not?
You'll be out in a few years, Johnny, if you don't try
A few
anything.
years. The adult authority turned me down. Didn't even set my sentence.
Don't try it, Johnny. This is a maximum security prison. It's a maximum security.
Now, listen to me. You're the only one I can trust, the only one on the outside. I can't get through any other way.
Why do you have to...
Are you going to do it or aren't you?
Don't say it like that.
Now, look. A guy named Mitchell. Look him up at the Blue Fox Tavern. Give him $500 now. Tell him to get more after. Tell him Monday night, 10 o'clock, after the count. West Wall. Well?
No. What? No, Johnny, I'm not going to do it.
Why, you
They'll kill you, Johnny. I'd rather have you in here than dead. Oh, please, Johnny, don't do it, please.
You're a great little pal, you are. Go on, get out of here.
I told myself I wouldn't, but on Monday night I found myself walking near the prison outside the West Wall. I just had to. I just had to be near him. I was hoping and praying he wouldn't try it. I wanted to go to the police, to my parole officer. I wanted to tell somebody, but I couldn't. I couldn't do that. So I just waited. At a few minutes past 10, I heard a siren. He was going to do it. I held my breath and watched. I saw the lights moving across the walls. It was too dark to see anything else. And then I saw somebody running along the wall. And the lights darted around, and they picked him up. And he started to run. The lights followed him. I could see them taking aim in the gun towers. Johnny! Johnny! I thought they killed him. I saw him look up once into the light, slump down along the wall. They didn't kill him. It was a miracle. I told them the truth about not helping Johnny. And they believed me. And they let me visit him in the prison hospital. Why did you try it, Johnny?
That's a crazy question. I want to get out of here. I'm a lousy planner. Real lousy.
Don't talk, honey.
I want to. I want to talk. I got to thinking. How long? How much longer do I stay in here? 20 years? 40? How long? Drove me wacky. Thinking about all the time I'd have to be in here.
They'll set your sentence next time, Johnny. I know they will.
Oh, sure. After a try at the wall, they'll set my sentence, sure. Honey, I'm in here for good. I'll never get out. I'll die in here.
Oh, you'll get out, Johnny. I'm going to write to the adult authority. I'm going to tell them what kind of a person you are. They've got no idea how...
Oh, you're wonderful. You know that.
I love you, Johnny.
I like that. You can say that anytime you want to.
You better rest for a while.
Now, listen. I don't want you hanging around town like you did before, you understand? I want you to get away from here and forget me. Go someplace, huh? Someplace nice.
I don't want to go anyplace. I want to be here with you, and I want to be able to see you every chance I get.
What kind of a life is that? Now, you do as I say. You get away from here.
I couldn't, even if I wanted to. You see, Johnny, it won't be long.
Get this through your head, Esther. I'm in here for good.
I'm staying, Johnny.
Listen to me.
No matter how long it takes, I'll be here. I'll be here. Now, you better get some rest.
You have just heard an actual confession. This case history of the woman referred to as Esther Phillips is a matter of documented record. To protect the legal rights of this girl, names and places were changed or deleted. Technical advice for confession comes from the Office of the Director of Corrections, Department of Corrections, State of California. In a moment, you will again hear Esther Phillips.
The case of Esther Phillips is still pending before the Board of Trustees, California Institution for Women. Whether she'll be returned to prison for refusing to reveal her knowledge of John Tyler's plan for escape, or whether her parole will be extended has yet been undetermined. Now again, Esther Phillips.
Well, like I told myself 100 times, I don't know really what made me leave my husband and what made me fall for Johnny in the first place. I guess it was like to tell me I wanted fun, whatever that means. I think I know where I went wrong. If I'd been smart, I'd have made him go back to where he broke his parole. And then we wouldn't be in prison. Yeah, that's right. We. Me and Johnny. Because while he's in there, so am I. He's got to do his time inside, and I got to do my time outside. Just a different kind of sentence, that's all.
Credit for this broadcast goes to our cast. Paul Frees, Lorene Tuttle, Gerald Moore, Dan Riss. Music, Michael Samogi. Script supervision, Warren Lewis. Direction, Homer Canfield. John Wall speaking. Confession, a Canfield Lewis creation, came to you from California.
August 2nd, 1953, Confession, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can find our social media links there, and you can contact me. That's at classicradio.stream, classicradio.stream. Thank this station, support their advertisers. Tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.